Hello and welcome to this tutorial on making a Django news website. So today we are going to make this neat website. It's about the Spain news, but in English. So we are going to make this Bootstrap website, which is so simple. We don't need any styling of our own. And this is also highly responsive. So you can see the latest news about Spain all in English and with links and images. Some of them have images, some of them like this one do not have any images. And then if you click on one of these, for example, this one, it will take you to the website and the web page of El País, for example. And then you can go back to the server, and then you can see that this works. And if I just try to see how responsive this website is, I can click on this one, and this is the mobile view, which is highly responsive. And also for iPad, you can see how this will be displayed. It's so cool. Okay, let's start making this nice website. So what we need is actually we are going to use Bootstrap, as I said, and also an API that fetches some news items for us. Then the API we are going to use is this one called mediastack. So you need to sign up for free, and you get an API key. You can have 500 free requests per month when you get your API key. So you need to do that before starting actually this project. And then what it gives us back is based on our queries. For example, if you want news about a certain country or maybe about a certain topic, it will give us this JSON file that is JavaScript object notation or a Python dictionary. So we can loop through and we can print out author, title, description, URL, and image, or other things. So this is what we are going to do. And then for our index.html, we are using Bootstrap. So we go to Bootstrap, getbootstrap.com, and on this, under this one, examples, you can see we are using this one, which is for albums, but we are getting rid of these. And then this is where the image of our news is going to be, and some descriptions. And that's basically it. Okay, so let's go to our Visual Studio Code, and here I'm going to create, well, I've created this folder project. I don't have anything here, so let's just run our terminal, and let's install Django first. So I have already installed Django, so it's not going to take that much time. It says requirement already satisfied for me. And now that I've installed it, I also need to start a project here. I'm inside this project folder. So I should say Django-admin start project, and I should give it a name. I name it news project, press enter, and it's here already. So you can see that underneath this one we have another folder, news project, and then we have also a manage.py. So this manage.py is one of the most important files we will use a lot here for making an app or for running a server. Now that we have done that, let's also create an app. But first we need to cd into project. We need to get into this folder first. So it's a cd news project, enter, and now we are inside this folder now. So now we can create our app, and for that we write python manage.py start app, all in one word, and give it a name. I just call it news app, and you should see the file here, news app. Okay, what is an app? So an app is basically a functionality that we give to our website. For example, you have a website, you might have a blog section. You can have a blog app. You might also have a gallery. You can have a gallery app, which is responsible only for that kind of service or functionality. So our news app is going to be responsible for showing the news, let's say. Okay, now that we have created this app, we should introduce it to our main project. So we need to go to our settings in our main project, and under installed apps here, we need to add it. Now Django knows, our project knows of the existence of this app. Cool. Let's close it down. And then you can also see urls.py here, which is responsible for the URL patterns and what they are. So here you can see this is my, well, URL, let's say. If I have something like home, this should go, actually this home should go here. Like I should say home. Admin means that I can have access to something like admin, but I don't want anything here. So I should leave it blank. I want people to go to this example.com, example.info, and they see this. And for that, I don't even need this admin anyways, but let's just leave it for now. I will get back to it later. Okay, so inside our news app, let's create a urls.py again, only for this app. So let's just say new file, urls.py. And this urls.py is something like this one here. So let's copy everything here and let's paste it here. I don't want the admin part for this. And here I want to leave it blank. It means that people don't need to type anything after .com.org. And here is where I should instruct Django that when someone visits this URL, what is going to be displayed. So what is going to be displayed there is actually from our views here. We will define a function, and that function is going to be responsible for showing our HTML page. So we say inside the views, look for what? Index. And index is going to be the name of a function that we should use here. But there's something wrong. It doesn't have access to views. So we should import it from the same directory. Dot means in the same directory. Import views. Now you can see it has access to views. So we have created URL patterns here, but our main Django app doesn't know about this. So we should introduce this. We should reference it in our main urls.py here. So let's get rid of admin here again. And here, leave it blank for the reason I just said. And here we should include it. So we should say that go to where I just created that. And how can I do that? I should say include. And what is it that I'm going to include? It is inside my news app .urls. So it should go inside my news app and look for urls.py. But in include, I should also add it here to be able to use it. Now, whenever someone visits my website, .com.org, whatever, it goes here. Okay, what is it that I'm going to render? And it says, look for it in this file, newsapp.urls. It goes to my news apps here, and then looks for URLs here, and then here again. And this is what it's going to do with it. Now let's go to our views and create a function called index. We need to go to our views, create your views here. So we need to create our function index, and this is just a Python function. So we start with def and index, and the index should have one argument, and this is called request. So we are going to send a request, and then because we are going to send a request to a URL and get something back, I mean our API, so we need to import requests as well. So we say import requests. Now that we have access to this, this is different from this one. So here, what I'm going to do is to create a variable called R. And what is R? It's going to request. It's going to request to get something. What is it that it's going to get? A URL. And which URL is it going to get? Let's go to our API documentation. And here you will see that this is the URL that use for API request. So I'm especially interested in the country thing. So let me just look for countries. And let's see here. So this is actually the URL, the example URL request for the country. So let me just copy this and paste it inside. And then let's get rid of this here. And this here, what's going on? Okay, let me get, okay, this. And here, I should attach this to this part. God damn it. Yeah, okay, this works actually because it's too long. Okay, it's good now. But then what do I need? I need an access key or my API key here. So I'm not going to use it now, but when I get my API key, I should insert it here. All right. And for countries, I'm using Spain. So let's just use ES and get rid of these spacings here as well. That. And maybe for HTTPS, I'm not sure if it actually supports it for free version. So yeah, let's leave it at that. We might have to change the HTTPS to HTTP. Okay, so that is one thing. But if I print this out, you will see that I get a response code of 200, which means a successful response code. But I don't want a response code. I want a JSON file. So if I use my API key here, and if I go to this URL after inserting this, you should see something like this. This is what you will see. So it gives us back a JSON file. It has several entries. I'm interested in data, which is a list, and I want to loop through data. That is, I want to get the first one and then the second one and the third one. And in each of them, I'm looking for title, Spanish tourism, for example, description, a URL so that people can click on it, and an image. So I want to loop through these data and get these. So first I need to have access to this JSON file, right? So I'm going to create another variable called, let's call it res. And this res is going to be r.json. Now that I have access to the file that I just showed you, I'm going to use some lists now. Okay, what are the things that I need? So you just saw that here. I need to first have access to data and whatever is inside it, right? So what I do is I just create a variable called data. And I say res, that is that JSON file, data. So I will look for that JSON file and that data, this one, and whatever is inside it. So I have access to these now. What else? Now I need to have, let's say, several empty lists like title. I will show you why, and description, and also image, and a URL. So I'm going to save whatever I get from this, I'm going to say the title I get, descriptions I get, images and URLs all in these, and then I will have access to them later. Now it's time to loop through that data that we just got. So we are going to loop through this. So this will be the first I, this will be the second I, third I, so it will go through this, and I want to add title to that list I created. I want to add description to the list. So this will go on and on. Okay, so for I in data that you just saw, I want to add title.append. So I want to append to this title, this list. What is it that I'm going to append to it? Well, I.title. I.title meaning this one. So this is going to be I, the first I, and .title, title, this one. So I'm going to append this one to the list that I said, and then next one, and then that one. So it goes like that. Okay, what about next? That is description. So I'm going to do the same with description dot append I and description. Remember, the names are exactly the same as in the JSON file. And for image equal, oh sorry, dot append I image. That is also the same word that is used there. And then URL dot append I URL. Okay, so I think these are the only thing I need. You can also add more to it, but for me these are enough. Now that we have done that, we need to gather all of this information. And how are we going to do that? I'm going to put them in a variable called news, and this news is going to use a Python function called zip, and I'm going to explain what it does. And inside the zip, I want to gather all the titles that I just got, and all the description, and all the images, and also all the URLs. So this zip is going to make lists, and in each list you have tuples. So you will have a list with the title of the first entry, with the description of the first entry, the image and the URL of the first entry. Then it would be something like this. Let me just show you. So it would be news, would be something like that, like let's say it's the title of the first one, and then let's say T1, and then the description of the first one, and then the image of the first one, and the URL of the first one. And then another one would be the same, but with a second, with the second item. So something like this, like T2, the title of the second news item, description of the second, the image of the second, and the URL of the second. So it will go on and on like that. So we will have something like this, and then we can loop through it again in our HTML page, and then we'll apply these to different items. Okay, so now you know what that is. Now we need to return something. Now our function should return something, and what is it that it's going to return? So it's going to return, and it's going to render something. And what is it? First of all, the first parameter is request, and then the second one is going to be the HTML page that we are going to render. We haven't created an HTML page yet, so that is what we are going to do now. So it's going to be called, well, first it's in our news app, and it's going to be called index.html, and we need to have access also to this kind of information, right? Because we are going to use the title, description, image in our HTML. But how can we access this information inside our HTML? By using some context variables here. So dictionary, and I say news, going to be news. It's going to be like this. So now inside our HTML, we will have access to the news. So we can loop through the news, like for loop, and print out title, description, image, and URL of each item. Cool. Now let's create this HTML. So in order to do that, we need to, inside our news app, let's create another folder. Let's call it templates. And inside templates, let's call it, create another folder, call it, actually it should call it like the same as news app. This is something that is like a convention. And inside that news app, let's create our index.html here. Now this is, let me save all this. Okay, now this is where we need to use our Bootstrap. So this was our Bootstrap file. So let me just look for the source. What? Oh, yeah, let me just look for this view page source. Okay, so this is basically all the Bootstrap code, but we are not going to use all of this. We are going to use only the code for one card. And then when you loop, when you do a for loop, it will generate cards of the same style over and over. So we should look for where the styling for only the one card is, and only use that card, and then it will dynamically generate more cards for us, right? So it should start somewhere. So this is a header, navbar, main. So this is something short. So this is actually this. Let's go further down. And this is going to be our card body. Okay, so this is our card up to where, yeah, our card body up to this point, actually. Yes, up to, okay, yeah, from here, from card shadow, from call, actually, yeah, from call, that is one column, up to this point. So this is one card. So I need only to have this card, this part here. And I will insert the title here, the, I don't know, image and others, and dynamically it will generate more and more. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so I have copied what I wanted actually, and I've copied the code here. So the only changes I've made are, let me show you here. So I have used the Bootstrap CDN here, and you can find it, like if you go to getbootstrap.com, you should be able to find it in Get Started, and you should copy and paste this one as well as the JavaScript one here, and you put this one at the end of your HTML, and the CSS you should use it like here on top. And then I haven't touched any of those things except some of this text I've changed. This is for actually our navbar, and here just ASPN, nothing special, news in the making. And I've also get rid of all other cards, so I've left only one card here that is starts from call. So imagine this, oops, so this that I've just highlighted is the card, and we are going to use a for loop to generate all these cards, and we end our for loop here. So the way we use for loops for Django, it's like Django template language. So we use curly brackets, percentage signs, for, and remember the news that we just created, this news that has title, description, image, and URL. So I'm using these, so unpacking it. So for title, description, image, and URL in news, I'm going to, for the image, put image inside double curly brackets, because this is not a function anymore. So if you want to use if statements or for loops, you need to use one curly bracket and a percentage sign, and should close it here. But for using variables and values, you'd need to use two curly brackets. So this is the image. And then down below, I've also used URL, and I have wrapped the title inside an A tag so that people can click on it. And this is the href that takes them to a web page. And inside this A tag, I have the title that I get dynamically from our API. And under that, we have a P tag for paragraph tag, and I've put description here, again inside double curly brackets. And this card is up to this point, so that is why I end my for loop here. So this is how you end your for loop or if statements. It's curly bracket, percentage, and for, and percentage and curly brackets. So that is basically what this all is about. So let me save this and let's see if it works. How can we make sure if it works? Let's go to our terminal, and we have to so for CD, what was the name? News project. CD into our news project, and here, because we have access to manage.py now, so we can say python manage.py and run server. This will run our server, so hopefully this will work. Let me press enter and let's see. Okay, it works. So we have our server, and this is the address to that server. We can control click on it, or we can just copy it, because I'm going to use it in Firefox. I'm going to copy the link, go back and paste it here, enter, and oops, we got something wrong. Awesome. So what is wrong with this data? So what is wrong with data? Line 7. Okay, views.py line 7. Oh, what is this? Views.py. Let's go to our views.py. Data, rest data. Oh dear Lord, I haven't used my API key. So I used, oh my God, I have to copy and paste my API key here. So wait for a moment, I'm going to paste it here. Okay, so I have pasted my API key, but I've kept it a secret actually. So let's go back and check again. And again, we have something wrong. So maybe we need to run our server again. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So let's see if we run our server again. Do we have something wrong again? Let's check out again. Yeah, something is wrong with data. What is it? Okay, I got what the issue was. So I do not have access to HTTPS. For the free version, you only have access to HTTP. That is why it doesn't work. And this is like dummy thing, don't worry. Okay, so you need to change this one from HTTPS to HTTP if you have this issue. Let me, yeah, copy and paste the address, go back, and I should have this. Yes, I do have it now. Awesome. So this works, news in the making, and look at this beautiful, it's not that beautiful, but it works. Cool. Okay, and you can see it's also responsive. So this has a menu. You can change, of course, these things anyways. And yeah, that was it. Space vaccination drive. Oh, very interesting. You can read these anyway yourselves. So thank you for watching and listening.